I talk a lot about the role of beliefs, but another way to talk about it is to discuss the role of stories. We all have stories, and the stories interrelate about roles and values, possibilities and exclusions, which really means that they're all about beliefs. So I want to talk about a fundamental structure that goes into beliefs and belief thinking, and it relates to two of the temporal modalities that I talked about in the past in terms of untying the knots. That was a whole series of presentations I did around therapeutic interventions using voice, as well as body dynamics and psychophysiology, sort of psychodramatically, that involved joining with the client's language and way of being in the world to then subtly offer new possibilities. So, this two of the temporal modalities that I want to talk about right now. We'll talk about the existential ones in another video, but it's past and future. And of course, they're both illusory. That is, they don't actually exist. The only temporal modality that actually is, we have to state it in the present tense because it's the present. Everything in the past was, and everything in the future might or will be. A lot of the confusion, a lot of the suffering comes when we don't return to present and instead stay stuck in the beliefs that are anchored in either the past or the future. Now, I say stuck because it's really the limiting beliefs that are the problem. There are empowering beliefs that are very important. So, a lot of discussion these days in leadership circles is always get the why first. Why are we doing this? Now, that sounds like why are we doing this? But while we're talking about it, we're probably not actually doing it. Whatever the business is doing and the way it implements its why, its mission, actually, are two differentiable things. What do we do when we actually produce a product is different from why are we producing the product. Obviously, the product is being produced partly to distribute it or sell it, if you prefer that language. I prefer the language of offering. And that's especially the case when what's offered is transformational experience like we offer with Neuroptimal. So why do we do what we do? We do it basically to relieve suffering, to transform suffering into freedom. That's looking towards the future from a present of action, that is doing, not having or being. So we do what we do in the present to offer this possibility of personal transformation to as many people as we can so they can transform their life of suffering into one of intimacy and connection and compassion. So that's in order to kind of motive. My background academically is existential phenomenological psychology, which is a mouthful. There's a dash in between those first two words, existential and phenomenology, and the dash is meant to indicate that it really ought to be one word, but no one has yet come up with that one word. So we're looking at the structure, that's the phenomenology, of existential or human existence. So what's the meaning, what's the structure of human existence or human experiences? What's the structure of transformation? It's releasing limits that have been taught or assumed or developed, particularly in context of traumatizing experiences. So we approach this idea from the other side, not from the liberation side, but the what is it that restricts you to the older developed ways of behaving. And those are actually the limiting beliefs. They limit the possibility you allow yourself to perceive or experience in the present. So if you've done something that somebody doesn't like, they may say with an angry or judgmental tone, okay, so why did you do that? And what they're asking you for there is what's the story, what's the belief that was guiding your behavior as far as you know. So if you say, well, I was only trying to help, well, okay, that's fine. But the person can say, well, how could it help that you did what you did? That was decidedly unhelpful. So the more you look to answer the question, why did you do this thing in the past, the more you're really reinforcing those lived limiting beliefs, unless you say confidently, thoroughly, and 100% in your body, I did it because it was the best thing I could do at the time. Very different existential stance. One assumes that others will respect or not your decision to do what you did, but that regardless, you accept it. The limiting belief statement is, okay, please don't judge me too harshly. I did the best I could, or it's what I thought was okay to do, or gee, it's all I know to do. It's a very different structure. One will involve suffering and will actually try to justify the suffering, either on your hand or on the part of the other people in the situation. So how do you move to the liberation? You return to your mission. What's the mission? The mission is to relieve suffering. And the mission of Zengar, my mission in life, is to help people understand how to transform their suffering into liberation. And I'm hoping that this video can be a small step maybe in that way. Thanks for watching.